Very good afternoon to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Good
Good afternoon, sir. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. Now today I'm planning to discuss about research methodology. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very nice. Now today I'm planning to talking about the research methodology. But before going to the new topic, I would like to recapitulate the previous things first. Then I will be entered slowly into the untouched part. Okay. Now, so first is that concept of research. Okay. What is a common understanding about the term research that we have already talked in our class during the classes? What is the research? Research is a systematic search for knowledge. Research is a systematic search for knowledge, isn't it? So while we are intended to searching new, then we can say it is research. Okay, the term research can be divided into two parts. One is the re and another is the search. Okay. One is the re, another is the search. Re means again and again, repeatedly. Re means again and again, repeatedly. When we are looking for the new things, when we are interested to find out some new objects, special things, then we can say it is the research. Okay. Okay. When we are concentrated on find out scientific and systematically find out something scientifically as well as systematically, then it is called that research. Okay, getting my point? A quick confirmation from your end. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. You're audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for your confirmation. Okay, so this is the basic concept of research. Research is I have once again tell you that it is searching for the new or pertinent information regarding any objects, regarding any untouched or hidden things. Okay, maybe research, we do research in the science, we do research in the social sciences, we do research in the humanities, we do research in all aspects. Without research, it is hardly possible to innovate something. Without research, it is hardly possible to address any things, any objects or any other important issues. Research is important for everywhere. Without research, nothing can be said. Without research, if we say anything, it will be from our heads or it will be from our hunch. There will be no scientific or systematic. There will be no scientific or systematic significance of this particular research. That's why we have to concentrate on the research. Now come to the term methodology. What is the methodology? Methodology is basically the approach. How do we reach to our objectives? How do we collect or find out the pertinent information towards anything. That is the methodology. There are different methodologies that we will discuss one by one. In social sciences, research play an important role. We all know. Without research, without proper research, or more specifically, without scientific research, no one can sustain in this competitive society. No one can survive in this competitive society. That's why we have to do research in social sciences. For instance, you are going to start a business. You are an entrepreneur. You have an intention to start a business. You have an intention to set up a new business. How do you do it? How do you set up your business? What would be your objectives? What would be your products? Who will be your potential customers? Everything you will get answer from the research, isn't it? So that's why research is very important. We have already talked about the research is applicable in marketing domain, research in social sciences, research is applicable in finance domain, research is applicable in operations domain, research is applicable in human resource domain, and research is applicable in everywhere. Research is applicable in every corner of the social sciences, every corner of the business, every corner of the organizations. That's why we have to know, we have to clear all our doubts. We have to get us concrete knowledge about the research to sustain in this society. Okay, so for instance, assume that you are associated with a marketing department, or you are associated with an organization, and your role is to analyze the market. Your role is to uh, do good for the business, isn't it? What do you do? Now you are a marketing manager, assume that, or you are an HR manager, or you are a finance manager, whatever you can assume yourself. First of all, now let us an example. You are a marketing manager. Suddenly you see the the demand of a particular product is falling. Suddenly you see the demand of a particular product is falling. What do? You have to understand, you have to identify the reasons behind the decreasing of the demand. So how do you identify it? So you have to perform a research. Without researching, without proper research, if you point out some problems, these are the reasons, and that's why the demand of the product is decreasing, so it will be insignificant, it will be meaningless, it doesn't make any sense for the organization. Even you cannot do better for your organization. That's why if you point out the some major points after completion of your research, after doing a research, and that will be a significant organization can also be benefited from your research, isn't it? So how do you do it? It is your cup of tea. It will be disclose your expertise as a domain expert. Assume that you are an HR manager, and you see that most of the employees are leaving from your organization. Most of the organization, most of the employees are not interested to stay with your organization. What do? You have to retain your organization. How do you retain your organization? First of all, you have to know the reasons for the leaving. You have to know why employees are switching from your organization to the other organization. Until or unless these reasons, if you do any remedial actions, if you do any steps against them, it will goes to the drain. It will be ultimately the spoil, it will be ultimately destroy of your time, it will be basically consume your money and show other issues. So that's why until or unless the proper research, whatever you are saying to your organization, to your boss, or maybe to the authority of the organization, everything will be meaningless. Assume that you are a finance manager. So now organization is basically looking for the profit maximization. Organization is basically concentrated upon the maximum return from the investment. So how do you how do you ensure the maximum return from the investment? So you have to do the research. You have to you have to do the research. Until or unless the proper research, if you say anything, if you make any portfolio for the maximization of the of the return, so it cannot be guaranteed that it will be maximized after certain days of period. But if you go through the research, if you go through the scientific research, so there will be the maximum profit probability to ensure or to maximize the return for on behalf of your organization for the organization. That's why research is important in case of a production management, in case of a what is it called, that portfolio management, in case of a uh, purchasing of the raw materials, whatever it may be, whatever are the functions associated with the organization. So research is everywhere. Without research, nothing can be sustained in this competitive society. Okay, so now you are associated with management, or you will be the manager of any organization. Your role is to be to do the research for the betterment of the organization, for the benefits of the organization. So how do you do your research? What are the components are involved in the research? I think you all know that research is consist of 9 points or 9 components. First component is known as the title. Okay, so each and every research must have a title, isn't it? What does it mean by the title? Title means you have to define what you are wants to do. What is your role as a researcher, isn't it? That is the title. What are the characteristics of the title? I think you all know. Title should be precise. Title should be precise. Second is the title should be simple. Title should be simple, and it is also easy to understand. Everybody can understand what you are wants to do. What is your, okay, easy to understand, and it should be concrete. Title should be concrete. It should not be haphazard. It should not be lengthy. It should not be big in size. It should be concrete. So these are the 4 characteristics to write a research title. Okay, precise means it should be simple. It should be precise. That's mean it should be highlights your role. It should be highlights the objectives of your research. Simple means it should be simply to understand, easy to understand, as well as the concrete. Okay, we have already talked about how to write a title for a research. Assume that the demand of a particular product is decreasing. What would be the research title? Demand of a particular product is decreasing. What would be the probable or possible research title? What is your understanding? Maybe a title would be like that. Identification of influencing factors that leads negative demand of, say, product X. That might be a title for your research. Identification of the influencing factors. We are trying to address the factors. We're trying to address the various dimensions, various components that influencing the demand in a negative way. Okay, when we are willing to identify these factors, sure we can be treat these factors and helps to improve the demand of the product X. Okay, you can write in any way, but it should be simple, it should be precise, it should be easy to understand, it must be concrete also. Second important component of the research is known as the introduction. Okay, what does it mean by the introduction? Introduction means what is it? Introduction is the brief discussion brief write-up about your research. What you are going to do, what would be your concepts, and what are the other facts and figures that you are taking into accounts. That is the introduction. Okay, from the introduction, the readers or the academicians or other bodies those are associated with it, they can understand what you wants to do with particular research. Third component of the research is known as the literature review. Okay, literature review or review of literature. Review of literature or literature review is basically the study of previous researches that has been done by the other researcher. Literature review is basically leads to identify the research gap. The researcher identify the research gap from the literature review. If there is no literature review, if the researcher doesn't go through the proper review of the literature, so researcher cannot find the concrete research gap. When you are unwilling to find out the concrete research gap, maybe your research will be duplicate of the other research. Okay, other research work. Your research so doesn't make any contribution for the society as well as for your organization. That's why you have to do the literature review very repeating way, and also you have to do your literature review in a very sincere manner to identify the appropriate or actual research gap. Third is after literature review, what do? You have to concentrate on you have to focused on the objectives of the study. Objectives of the study. What is the basic objectives of your study? So you have to find out 3-4 points or more than 3-4 points that you are going to address. Why you are going to perform this particular research. What are the objectives of this research? Okay, now for the previous examples, the title was identification of influencing factors that leads to negative demand of the product X. So what would be the objectives? So first objectives to find out the important factors that are leading negative demand of product X. Okay. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next objective may be to develop a model to develop a model for recovering this problem. Okay, it is a problem. The demand is decreasing. So what do? You will develop a model to recover this problem. What are the problems are associated with this particular situation, particular phenomena? After identifying the all facts and figures, we can develop a model that these are the models. If we trace upon this model, and we can be solve this problem very simply, and it will be helpful for the future. So these will be the objectives of the research. After developing the objectives of the research, third part is known as the hypothesis. Sorry, fourth part is known as the hypothesis development. hypothesis or hypothesis development. Now we have developed two objectives. First one is there are some factors that leading to the negative demand of product X. Second important objective to develop a model for recovering this problem. So what would be the objectives? Now hypothesis is for the single hypothesis. Okay, when our hypothesis is only one, so we have to write it is a hypothesis, and hypothesis it is the plural form of the plural form of the hypothesis. Okay, so for single it will be hypothesis. When a hypothesis is more than one, so it will be the hypothesis. Okay, clear? So hypothesis would be there will be no specific factors. Okay, there will be no significant or specific factors associated with negative demand of product X. What is our first hypothesis? There will be no specific factors. We assume that. So we assume that there is no such factors is associated with the negative demand of the product X. Now after that we will find out how many factors are associated, what are those factors, and so on so forth. We all know that hypothesis we can write or we can develop in two ways. One is the null hypothesis, or hypothesis can be broadly grouped into two categories. One is the null hypothesis that we denoted sorry, that we denoted by H naught. Okay, that we denoted by the H naught, that is the null hypothesis. That is the null hypothesis. And when we write the alternative hypothesis, it is denoted by HA, that is the alternative hypothesis, or sometimes we write H. Okay, that is the alternative hypothesis. These are the two types of hypothesis. Now I have written here in the form of null hypothesis. There will be no specific factors. Okay, so this is not the right process to the development of the hypothesis for this case, because if there is no specific factors associated with the negative demands of the product X, so why the demand is falling? So we will write or we can write it in this way, that there will some factors that are associated with there are some factors associated with negative demand of product X. Okay, so that is the alternative hypothesis, and we can also write or we can also frame our hypothesis in the form of alternative hypothesis. There will be no problem. After hypothesis development, the next part is very important, which is known as the research methodology that we are talking about. Okay, that is the research methodology or research methods. What is the research methods? Now we have defined the title of our research. We have write the introduction for our research. We have gone through the literature review, and from the literature review, we have developed our objectives. Based on the objectives, we have framed the hypothesis. Up to that, there is no problem. There is no problem. But in case of a research methodology, we have to deal with the certain important issues. So to meet the objectives, to prove the hypothesis, we have to develop the research methodology very sincerely. Research methodology is basically explain the or dealings with the four important aspects. First is known as the research design. Okay, what is the research design? I think you all know. Research design is basically the sketch or footprint, or you can say that it is a layout how we do our research. Okay, research design, it is a layout of our research. Okay, what would be the steps are involved, how do you reach to our objectives, what would be the probable tools that we use, what would be the our sample size, who will be our respondents, where from we collect the respondents, how do we carry out our research, all the WH questions will get the answers in the research methodology part, or sorry, research design part. Okay, so research design is a layout, or you can say it is a sketch, or it is a roadmap to do a research. If your research design is incomplete, if your research design is inappropriate, or maybe full of error, so it will be very difficult to reach to the ultimately objectives. It is impossible to prove your hypothesis. That's why research methodology is very important for performing a research. You will get all the WH questions, answers of all WH questions at the research methodology. For instance, what is the study about? That's mean what we are going to do. Second is that why is this study being made? What are the significance of the study? Why do you perform the studies? What are the implication of the studies? What are the significance of the study? So who will be our respondents? Where from we will be collect the data, and so on and so forth. All the answers, you will get the answers of all these questions in the research design relating to your research. Second component of the research method is known as the sampling. Okay, what is the sampling? What is your understanding about the term sampling? Now
Uh,
we, yeah, anybody please.
from 50 student, we can get 10 students at that's a sampling, right? Sample size, right?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. So when we perform a particular research, it is hardly possible to address the entire population. So suppose you are going to understand the reasons for the COVID-19, hasn't it? Why COVID-19 is expanding its nature? Why COVID-19 is captured the 200 countries in the world? So what do? If you have an such type of intention, so you have to collect the data from the world, you have to collect the data from the field. So if you want to capture the 200 countries, so it is hardly possible to visit or reach 200 countries. But when you are interested to frame a sample, and this sample will be representing of the 200 countries, that is basically the sampling. That is basically coined as the sampling. Sampling means to take the some population, to take the some populations from the entire populations from the universe. That is known as the sampling. Okay, and there are different types of the sampling technique that we have already talked about. There are mainly two types of the sampling technique. One is known as the probabilistic sampling techniques, and another is known as the non-probabilistic sampling technique. Okay, I'd like to show you the Just a minute, please. Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're visible, sir.
These are yeah. Thank you. This is basically the sample. See, this is the total population. From the total population, when we select a study population, say this is India, assume that it is India, or assume that it is a world. Study
Sir, the board
population,
is
say
not
assume
visible,
that it
sir.
is India.
You
Sir,
are
the
visible, but
board is not visible.
board is not
visible, sir.
Okay, no, I'm leaving from the board. I'm exits from the board. I'm showing a PowerPoint presentation. Is it visible?
no, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, just
No, sir. No, sir.
wait, please. Is it visible right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, see, this diagram represents the total population, isn't it, or the targeted population, whatever you say. This is the universe, total universe. From the total universe, we select the sample population. That's been the sample area, or the research area, or the research judicial, whatever you can say. Now, when we take the some portion of the population from the study population, so this is known as the sample. Okay, say for instance, you want to know the behavior of the Vidyasagar University students during the COVID-19, during the lockdown period. So what would be a target population? The all students of the Vidyasagar University. All students of the Vidyasagar University is your target population. So students of humanities, students of arts, students of commerce, students of science, or you can say that the entire students, the total number of students would be your total population. Now, what would be the study population? Now you decided instead of the covering the total, instead of the taking into account the all departments, I am concentrated on only the commerce and management students because they are adjacent to each other and you know very well to them. So now this is your study population. So your study population is commerce and the management. So it is the sample. Now out of the maybe commerce has total number of 100 students. Management also has the total number of 100 students. So we have taken 50 students from the commerce department and 50 students from the management departments. So your sample will be 100 out of the 200. So this 100 students represents the behavior of the students of Vidyasagar University during the lockdown period. So sample is basically representations of the entire population. Okay, now types of the sampling. There are two types of sampling. One is known as the probability sampling, another is the non-probability sampling. What is the probability sampling? Each and every respondent has the equal opportunity to get selected. That is known as the probability sampling. So if you use the probability sampling of the MBA departments of your departments, so total out of total 60 students. So 60 students get the equal opportunity to get selected. And non-probability sampling, there is no guarantee that a particular sample gets selected. That is the non-probability sampling. So probability is 0 or probability is tends to 0 in case of a non-probability sampling technique. Probability sampling technique can be classified into 6 categories. First one is known as the simple random sampling. Second one is known as the systematic random sampling. Third one is known as the stratified random sampling. Fourth one is known as the multi-stage random sampling. Fifth one is the multi-phase random sampling. And last one is the cluster sampling. Out of these 6 sampling techniques, the first 3 and the last one is very important under the probability sampling technique. Now come to the first one. What is the simple random sampling? In case of a simple random sampling, the researcher used the random number table. The researcher used the random number table to select the sample from the population. What is the random number table? Have you seen it? Have you seen the random number table? How it is look like? Just I'd like to show you the random number table. If you click on the Google and write on Google as random number table, you will find there are thousands and thousands random number tables are available on the Google. Okay. See, this is the random number table. Okay, this number is consist of 5 digit 614249022250 and so on and so forth. Okay, who is generated this random number table? I don't know. And and what are the significance of this random number table? Is also a very uh, difficult questions to answer. But still we are using this random number table for select the sample. Suppose you wants to select the 100 sample from, or maybe 50 samples from the 99 students. So what do? You have to assign the number from 1 to 99 of all your population. So now the first number will be select as the 61. So the first sample will be 61. Second sample will be 90. Third sample will be 50. Fourth sample will be 85. Fifth sample will be 2. That's means 02. Sixth sample will be 90. Seventh sample will be 20. Eighth sample will be 89. Again, the next sample will be 42. In this way, it will be 99. Again, 42, that's mean 42 will be the next sample. 22 is the another sample. 97 will be the another sample. So in this way, you will select your sample. Or you can go through in this way also. 61, 42, again 42, again 04, 19, then 86, then 54, then 60, then 55, then 17. You can go column wise as well as you can also go row wise. There is no specific rules for selecting the random number table or random number from the random number table to choose the sample from the population. So this is the basic concept of the applications of the random number table in case of a election of a what is it called, selection of sample from the population. Now come to the next part. Okay, before going to the next part, random number simple random sampling can broadly classified into two categories. One is known as the with replacement, another is known as the without replacement. Okay, is it visible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible? Is it visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, simple random sampling can be classified into two categories. One is the with replacement, that is SAR WR. Another is the without replacement. Without replacement means sample schemes may be without replacement. No elements can be selected more than once. That's mean when a sample is selected, so you will be asked to him to leave this particular room. So one sample can get a single chance only. Assume that you are distributing some logins to your friends. You have 40 logins in your box, but 60 students are present in the class. So what do? If you use the simple random sampling with the replacement method, without the replacement method, that's mean 40 students can get the opportunity. But if you use the with replacement, then a students can get more than once, isn't it? So this is the simple random sampling without replacement and simple random sampling with replacement. Next is the systematic random sampling technique. Systematic means now you are selecting the sample in a systematic way. You have 40 chocolates in your box. So what do? You are dividing the total number of students according to the gender. This is the male and this is the female. So now first the male will get chance, second the female will get chance. And according to the number, it will be not the haphazards. It will not be the haphazard. It will also not be according to your choice. It will be definitely by applying the random number table. So this is the basically systematic random sampling. Say this is the examples for the systematic sampling. So now I will select the 3, then 6, then 9, then 12, then 13. That is the multiplication of 3. Or maybe sometimes it is multiplication of 5, or sometimes it is in other way. So that is the systematic random sampling. The first number definitely gets selected based on the random number. Third sampling technique under the probabilistic sampling technique is known as the stratified sampling technique. So first you have make a strata among your samples, among your populations. From this, after making the strata, you are collecting the sample from each and every strata. That is called that stratified sampling technique. So this is the examples for the stratified sampling technique. So draw a sample from women or men, and draw a sample from the manager, supervisor, workers, and other ways. So these are the stratified random sampling. Next sampling is known as the cluster sampling. So now first of all, you will make a cluster. It is rural, it is urban. Okay. So some people will be get select from the rural areas. Some people will be get select from the urban areas. So now before selecting the before selecting the sample, you are dividing the entire populations into the two categories. One is the urban and the rural. Then you will collect the data, or maybe you are dividing the entire population as APL, BPL, CPL, DPL, or whatever it may be, and then you will get the you will collect the samples from the entire population. That is the cluster sampling. Everything is written over there. I'll give you. And in case of a cluster sampling, it is one stage cluster sampling, two stage cluster sampling, one stage cluster sampling. Now I am dividing the first rural and urban. That is the one stage. Now after rural and urban, now I am dividing. This is the this is the APL category people. This is the BPL category people. This is the CPL category people. So now this is the two stage cluster sampling. And everything is depending upon, everything is based upon the random number table. Nothing can be happen over there haphazardly. Nothing can be happen from your heads also. Okay. Now come to the next. That is the multistage sampling. Multistage sampling says, suppose you are going to collect the data from the India. How do you do? It is very difficult to cover the entire India, because India is a big country, and India is constituted by 140 crores people. So what do you do? First of all, you have to divide the India into the states. So this is the first stage. Then select some states from the total number of Indian states. Then select some after state, select some district, then select some blocks, then select some GPs, then select some villages, then select some respondents as your sample. So this is basically the multi-stage sampling technique. Okay. Clear? Hello. Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now come to the non-probability sampling. What is the non-probability sampling? The respondents doesn't have any scope to get select. Okay, there is no please mute your speaker first. Okay, non-probability sampling, there is zero chances, there is or tends to zero chances to get select. Non-probability sampling can be classified into four categories. First one is the convenience sampling, second one is the purposive or judgmental sampling, third one is the quota sampling, and last one is the snowball sampling. Convenience sampling, now I am selecting the respondents according to my convenient or according to the convenience of the respondents. Okay, now that example, or if we go back to the examples of to the study of the behavior of the students, or maybe their perception of the students of the Vidyasagar University in the lockdown period. So instead of focusing all the students, I am concentrating on the students of Department of Commerce and the management, because I know them very well, I have a good contract with them very well, and they are also in my friend list. So now I am considering them because of my convenience. So this is the examples for the convenience sampling. Convenience sampling we used to minimize the time or also to minimize the cost of the research. Purposive sampling or the judgmental sampling. Now when I will select the sample based on my purpose, okay, based on the purpose only, that is called that purposive sampling or the judgmental sampling. Third sampling technique is known as the quota sampling. Now I am giving some quota, I am implementing some quota sorry, before drawing the sample from the population. So that is the quota sampling. It may be quota is the APL quota, BPL quota, urban quota, rural quota, whatever it may be. So this is the quota sampling. Last is the snowball sampling. Now when I am getting the sample from the reference of the previous sample, that is known as the snowball sampling. Okay, these are the four non-probabilistic sampling techniques to draw the sample from the populations. The next important part of the research design is known as the measurement tools or the measurement scaling. So measurement scaling is very important for what is it called, that to collect the response from the respondents. Okay, this is the just a minute. Okay, scaling is very important. Scaling involves creating a continuum upon which the measured objects are located. We all know that there are four basic scales. These are the nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scales, and the ratio scales. We also know the importance of the nominal scale, function of the nominal scale, interval scale, ordinal scales, and so on and so forth. Okay, these are the characteristics that we have already talked in about the four basic scales in the department in the class. So apart from these four basic skills, there are some other skills that we are also used in the social sciences research. These are the two types. These are the these can be grouped into the two types or two groups. One is called that comparative skill. Another is called that non-comparative skill. Comparative skill further grouped into three types. One is the pair comparison, second is the rank order, and third is the constant sum. Pair comparison means suppose you have 4 brands in your hand, A, B, C, and D. You want to know which brand is mostly preferred by the customers. So what do? You can apply the pair comparison test. Second is the rank order. Now you can collect the rank of this particular brand. Please give the rank of this particular 4 brands as 1, 2, 3, and 4. And constant sum, maybe someone is given rank 1, someone is given rank 2, someone is given rank 3, and someone is given rank 4. Okay, so if we add the ranks of all these respondents, it should be the equal. So suppose now I am giving the 100 points. So I am asking you to divide these 100 points into these 4 brands. Maybe you can give brand A as 50, you can give the brand B as 20, you can give the brand B as 15, and brand B as the 15. So by this way, when we are adding all these responses, it should be 50. It should be 100. So that is the constant sum. Non-comparative scale can be classified into 2 categories. One is known as the continuous rating scale. Next one is known as the itemized rating scales. Continuous rating scale means it is continuous, very good to very poor. There is no neutral point. There is no 0 point, isn't it? That is the continuous rating scale. Itemized rating scale further grouped into 3 categories. That is the Likert scale, which is widely used in the social sciences. Semantic differential scale, that it is the equal differences in the both side, and last one is the staple scale. This is the examples for the rank order scale. Okay, there are 10 brands. I am asking to give you the rank of these 10 brands according to your preferences. So while you are giving the rank according to your preferences, and when I am taking into account your responses for the research, so that is the rank order scale. This is the constant sum scale. So now the total sum is 100. I'm asking you to give your importance as hours or service, friendliness, distance from the house, investment vehicle, and the parking facilities towards a particular bank characteristics. So while you are say hours of services, you're giving 20 marks. Friendliness, you're giving 10. Distance from home, you're giving 50 or maybe 30. Investment vehicles, you're giving a certain marks, and parking facilities while you are giving in another. So the total sum should be 100. So this is known as the constant sum scale. Okay, so these are the examples of constant sum scale. This is the continuous scale. So you can see that very easy to very hard. Okay, very easy. If you marking is as a 1, very easy, easy, quite easy, neither, quite hard, hard, and the very hard. So this is the continuous scale. This is the Likert scale, very widely used, strongly agree to, strongly disagree. This is the examples for the Likert scale for the people who commit murder should have hanged, strongly agree to, strongly disagree, and in this way you can frame your questionnaire. This is the example for the semantic differential scale, modern store to old fashioned store, isn't it? This is the semantic differential scale. You can write more options in between the modern stores to old fashioned store, low price to high price. You can write anything. That is the semantic differential scale. Okay, this is the examples for the semantic differential scale. Importance to unimportant, expensive to inexpensive, useful to unuseful, and useless or other things. These are the some agreements: strongly agree to strongly disagree, agree strongly to disagree strongly, agree very strongly to disagree very strongly, and so on and so forth. These are the frequency that we can use to collect the data or response from the respondents. These are the for importance measurement. These are for the quality measurements. These are for the likelihood measurement. And this is the examples of the staple scale. Okay, it is wide selection in negative, wide selection is positive. So 1, 2, 3, minus 1, 2, 3, 2 plus 1, 2, 3, it is the staple scale. These are the comparative, non-comparative scales. Here you can find that the different types of the scales, examples, advantages, and the disadvantages. Also, some commonly used scales in the marketing, you can find it from here. These are the one assignment for you. Develop a semantic differential scale to measure the image of the two major airlines that fly to your, what is it, to your city. Administer this scale to a pilot sample of 10 people to know you based upon your pilot study which airline has more favorable image. Another assignment, developed a Likert scale for measuring the attitudes of the students towards the internet as a source of general information. Administer your scale to a small sample of 30 students and refine it. So these are the two assignments for you, and this is all about the today's class. Tomorrow we will be talking
Sir,
about
please repeat two questions.
yeah,
Sir, please
I'll
repeat
share
two
it.
questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are the questions, these are the assignment for you. Developed a semantic differential scale to measure the image of the two major airlines that fly to your city. Administer the scale to a pilot sample of 10, or you can write it as a 20 people to know you based on your pilot study which airline has the more favorable image. Second assignment, develop a Likert scale for measuring the attitudes of students towards the internet as a source of general information. Administer your scale to a small sample of 30 students and refine it. Okay. Next day, I'll be talking about the pair comparison test. How do you conduct a pair comparison test to understand which brand or which factor is most important for selecting or rejecting any items or objects. Okay, pair comparison test. I I request to all of you, please read the basic concept of the pair comparisons from any source as you like for better understanding of this particular scale for next day. Okay, any doubt, any questions?
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, will you please repeat the snowball sampling and purposive sampling?
Okay, purposive sampling, say when I am intended to fulfill my objects and draw the sample for it, that is my purposive sampling, hasn't it? Say suppose now let's an example. Say now G Bangla is going to collect the attitudes of the audience regarding the Didi #1 reality program or reality show. Based on these attitudes, they have an objectives to select some what is it called, that participants in this particular program. Okay, who will be their sample? Who will be their respondents? Definitely the male will not be their respondents. They will be concentrated on the female mostly, because female are the participants for this particular game or this particular program. So this is the purposive. I am exclude the male participants according to my purpose. Getting my point? What I am trying to say, or vice versa. Now you are interested to know the performance of a public university, hasn't it? And you were considering the placement as an important parameter to measure the performance of the public university. Getting my point? So how do you measure the performance of the public university? By adopting a moderator which is known as the placement. Getting my point? So the humanities department has the less chances to get placed. That's mean to get job into the corporate sector. While the management student, commerce student, students from the computer sciences, or students from the other department has the maximum opportunity to get chances. Getting my point? So now I am exclude the students of the humanities department, mainly Bengali, history, English, because they don't have any scope to get any placement job or the placement opportunity. Getting my point? So now I am excluding them for my purposes, to solve my purpose. That is basically the purposive sampling. Clear? Now come to the snowball sampling. Now I don't know, assume that I gave an example in the class, assume that you are associated with Cucina, isn't it? Cucina doesn't have the database. Okay, Cucina means the Cucina kitchen appliances. Cucina kitchen appliances, more specifically the chimney, kitchen chimney. Getting my point? So Cucina doesn't have the database. Cucina is looking for the customer satisfaction. Cucina is concentrating upon the post services. Getting my point? So now what do? You are a researcher. Company is asking you to measure the customer satisfaction towards the Cucina kitchen chimney. So now you reach to a particular, or maybe you are in an apartment. Assume that the total number of apartments is 200, isn't it? Total number of units in this particular apartment is 200. So it is very difficult to reach 200 units, 200 households with the questionnaire. What do? Now you reach to a particular, you ask to the security, you ask to the security, can you please tell me who is the users of Cucina? Now the security told you that I have seen room number 18 or the unit number 18, they brought the Cucina uh, kitchen chimney last month, hasn't it? So now you reach to the room number 18. You ask to that particular households regarding the satisfactions or level of the satisfaction towards the Cucina kitchen chimney. So what do? Next, now you ask to that household. So could you give some recommends or could you give some idea who is the other users of this particular chimney in this apartment or in this particular floor? So when you are get the information by this way, one by one, so this is known as the snowball sampling. This is also the non-sampling technique. This is also the non-sampling technique method. Shatuki, is it clear? Hello, Shatuki, am I audible?
Hello.
Shatuki, am I audible?
No, sir. Your voice is cracking.
I don't know, but do you understand the points?
Sir, last the last situation is, sir, I don't understand because the network is very poor.
Okay, so snowball sampling is, now you asked to Kushal about the satisfaction level. Then you ask to the Kushal, can you give some recommendation who is the other users? Kushal tell you, I know that Showman is using this particular product. You visit to the Showman and fulfill your objectives. Then you ask to the Showman, could you please give some recommendation who is the other users? Showman said that I know that Sharju is the users of this particular product. So you visit to the Sharju. Then again you ask to the Sarju, could you tell me who is the other user? Sarju tell that Anindita is the users of this particular product. So when by this way, when you collect that sample by this way, this is called that snowball sampling. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. This is up to today. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the marketing. Friday we'll be talking about the research methodology. That is the pair comparison test. Then we'll try to solve some problems like chi-square test, t-test on SPSS, and then I'll be wind up the entire classes of the research methodology. Okay, thank you guys. See you
Okay,
tomorrow.
sir.
Sir,
Thank you,
kindly
sir.
send the PPT, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'll share. Sure, definitely. Don't worry. I'll share this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have a
Thank you,
great day,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Have a nice day tomorrow. So bye. Take
Thank
care.
you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.